For the last couple weeks, I've been on this really nice summer trip through Europe. I'm in Switzerland right now, which is somewhere I've always wanted to be. And last week I was in Iceland, which was another place I always wanted to be. And I did a lot of filming in Iceland. Before that I was in New York, and while I was in New York I made a video about these PolarPro neutral density filters for your phone, which are super cool. And then when I was in Iceland, I was using the variable ND filter that I'm using right now, which is an 8-stop variable filter. And that just lets you adjust the amount of light that's coming into the camera so you can use slower shutter speeds in brighter light. In the case of video, it gives more natural movement. In the case of still photos, it lets you use longer shutter speeds so you can get some motion blur, maybe get some extra clarity that you couldn't otherwise get. So right now, for example, if I change it, you'll see it gets really dark, and I can adjust it till it's bright. They're great for video because you're going in a bunch of different environments and you can adjust the filter to suit that environment. But the filter I'm using is a really cheap one. I think it was like $25 on Amazon. It works well enough, but it also gets this really unfortunate X pattern, which can ruin your photos and your videos at certain settings, not all the time, but it's just sort of like a dark X that's overlaid on your image, and that's not really something you want. So for Switzerland, PolarPro sent me, at no cost, just so I could check them out, some of their new Quartz neutral density filters. They sent me 3 of them, and these are pretty neat. First, they come in these nice little pouches. The thing that I like about these is every pouch has a built-in microfiber cloth, which is cool. And in that, the filter actually comes in its own case, which is nice and protected. And they didn't send me variable filters, so they sent me traditional neutral density filters. Since they're not variable, they don't have the X problem, because that's something that mostly affects variable filters. And they sent me 3. They sent me an ND8 and an ND16. Both of those are pretty common. They let you, especially in daylight, get, flowing waterfalls, smooth looking water, maybe a little bit of cloud movement. You can do shutter speeds at wide apertures, maybe like f4. You could do a shutter speed of a couple of seconds with those, 2-3 seconds, which is really great to get some motion blur and some action happening. If you've ever seen photos of traffic at night where the lights are really like streams of light happening, that's pretty easy to do. You don't need any filters. You just set your shutter speed for a couple of seconds, take the photo, and then the light streaks happen automatically. In daytime, it doesn't work that easily because when you set a slow shutter speed, so much light is going into the camera that your whole image is just overexposed and blown out and totally white. So that's why you need the ND filter, to stop the amount of light coming into your camera, so that way you can capture the image and keep the slow shutter speed or the wide aperture and get the motion blur. Now, since these aren't variable ND filters, I've been using them for mostly still photos, which is something I really wanted to do on this trip, especially lots of great landscape photography. The Matterhorn is right over there and there's clouds around it all the time, and it's really cool to capture. The people at PolarPro, even though they did provide these to me at no cost, they asked for an objective review, and they specifically didn't really want me to go into like the unboxing and all the details. They wanted me to put them to the test and actually see what they could do. And they're pretty cool because they're quartz filters, so they're really high quality. They're super resistant to fingerprints and water. It's been real rainy out here the last few weeks in Iceland and even in Switzerland. It's super nice right now though. And as you know, if you ever film in the rain, as soon as that gets on your lens, your day's done if you don't have like a towel or something with you. So it's really nice. These avoid moisture. They avoid fingerprints like crazy. You can just touch them and like your fingerprints don't show up on them, which is great if you're changing them out a lot. You don't have to worry about it too much. It is still definitely possible to get smudges and fingerprints and dirt on them. It's just much harder. And since they're quartz, it's also really hard to scratch them. The ND filter I'm using right now, just taking it in and out of my camera bag, already has some chips and scratches in it, and I'm really, really careful with it. So these kind of are just a higher quality. They also have built-in polarizers, which is great, so you can twist a polarizer. It really helps with reflections on water through glass, helps you get the sky kind of looking how it should look. So it does give you a lot of control over your image. And of course you can use them for video. It's just much better if you have more controlled lighting situations. Like if you're in an environment, you know the light's not gonna change and that ND8 filter is gonna be exactly what you need. Cool. It's just kind of a hassle if you're going around to keep swapping them out as the lighting changes. That's why I kind of do prefer a variable ND filter for video. I mentioned they sent me an ND8 and an ND16. Both of those are really common filters. They also sent me something that I didn't know even existed, which is an ND1000 filter. Let me show you. So just for reference, this is the ND8 filter. You can sort of see my hand through the filter. It's a little darker, but you can definitely still see my hand. The ND1000 is just black. You can't see anything through that. It's crazy. But what this lets you do is get crazy long shutter speeds at really wide apertures, even in super bright daylight. And by crazy long shutter speeds, I mean 10 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds, maybe even upwards of like 80 or 90 seconds, depending on your setting. And so, while all of these filters are great, this one's definitely the most absurd, but it's also the one I've been playing with the most because, especially with something like a mountain, you set up your camera for like a 30-second exposure, the mountain's not gonna move, but the crazy clouds and the weather around the mountain, you are gonna get some nice smooth, movement of that happening. Waterfalls, those kinds of things. Being able to do long exposures in bright light is just super cool. It's also really great if you're in a crowded environment. If you put this on and do a nice long exposure, all the people disappear pretty much because they're moving in the image and the buildings are standing still. So that's just a really cool benefit. This ND1000 filter is awesome. Basically, they're just really high quality, really reliable neutral density filters, which I've definitely been enjoying using, and especially the durability part of it, because when you're at home in a controlled environment, it's very easy to make sure everything is perfectly, maybe not even moved. But when you're traveling a lot, stuff's going in and out of camera bags and in and out of planes and trains and automobiles, even if you're being careful, there's gonna be some wear and tear on your equipment, and it's really nice to know that these stand up to that wear and tear. Even though these filters came with those super cool cases, which are really great if you're gonna put them in checked luggage or if you just wanna take extra care of them, it's not super practical though for putting 3 or 4 of those in your bag as you're leaving for the day. So I have been using this Think Tank. It's called a filter nest, which is great and has 4 color-coded slots right in it, so you can keep them in the order you want. I keep the ND1000 in the back because it's like the big guns to pull out. Fits in your bag, no problem, and protects your filters. As you're getting more into photo or film, looking at filters is something I highly encourage you to do, because even the really high quality ones, in terms of comparison to camera bodies and lenses, are a relatively minimal investment that really have a huge payoff in the quality of your work. In terms of still photography, they allow you to just do stuff you couldn't do before. And in terms of video, they open up the whole world of capturing regular, 24 frames a second motion in bright daylight, which helps everything look a lot more professional, cinematic, and natural. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so. And posting lots of videos from this trip, which has been just like the most beautiful trip in the world. So make sure to check those out, and I will see you guys next time.